What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Joe Nissim, and with me is Mr. Raman Singh. Raman, what's going on?
Oh, nothing, man. I guess I go to a baby shower tomorrow, so let's
Oh,
see how that
exciting,
goes.
exciting weekend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yay, babies.
Baby shower. Hopefully my kid won't be just crying the whole time and he's
Is it
got to
gonna be,
think.
is it all gonna be like families and babies?
I'm guessing so, but it is a Mexican baby shower, so I'm hoping there's some good food and
Oh,
maybe some
absolutely,
margaritas or
there's
something.
absolutely good food there. There's no doubt there's gonna be good food.
Yeah,
Oh
yes.
man, so living on the East Coast, I never truly got like a West Coast, like just north of the border experience.
Hmm.
And I didn't know what I was missing until I got here. And then I got here and I'm like, oh my God, this is why people go nuts for Mexico. This is unbelievable. Because like in New York, they would like doll it up. They would make it like fancy. And I'm like, I want the
The
street
authentic.
food. Yeah,
Yeah.
cut the meat off and just put it in a tortilla and give it right to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I want that thing like steaming.
something about street tacos, man.
Street
Man,
meat. Street meat
yeah,
is the
dude,
best.
straight up.
The street meat is the best meat.
I mean, I think especially like you living in California, man, like you're probably spoiled with some just like good Mexican food. I mean,
Incredible.
yeah, I
Everywhere.
think I think California probably has better Mexican food than Arizona does.
I don't know. I've never had Mexican
It's a
food in
tough.
Arizona, but you've probably had it in both.
I've had Mexican food here, and things like so. I grew up in Texas, right? So I've had the Tex-Mex, which is its own,
Yeah,
thing.
I agree with that. It's its own thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I've had like Mexican food in California and Arizona, and I don't know. I think I have yet to still find like a good place to have like good tacos. I think, like you said, like some places they just fluff it up so much. Like we had like street tacos at this one place, but they put sunflower seeds on the meat, and my wife
sunflowers.
was like, "What the?" She's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like I was like, she's like, "I don't like this at all." I'm like, "Yeah, just
What's
kind of some."
next? Cranberries?
Yeah, I
Put
know, right? I think
craisins
I've
in
had
there?
those. I've actually had cranberries on a taco too here, man. It's just kind of like,
Yeah,
what?
so what are
Like,
you
stop
doing?
making it fancy. Like, that's not what. Please don't lose the authenticity of what a street taco is supposed to be.
Why are we fixing something that's not broke?
Yeah, for real.
I hate it when people do with Arab food too. It's like if I'm paying $10 for a falafel, something has gone horribly wrong. I need to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Like in it, when we would go to Egypt as kids, my mom would like we would go to somebody in the street and you'd pay 25 cents for a falafel sandwich. It is street food. It's like it's not meant to be expensive. It's so everybody can afford it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I hate please don't make some like white bean falafel. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't just leave it alone.
Just leave it
Please.
alone,
Just
please.
leave
Leave
it
it
alone.
alone. Man, we can sit here
Well,
and talk about food all day, but
right. What a transition to Social Security, huh?
yeah, what a transition.
Speaking of falafel.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about Social Security because this is a kind of elusive topic for a lot of CFP students.
Oh God. Yeah.
And if you go to ssa.gov, it's a very difficult webpage to navigate. It's hard to really understand what the programs are. It's hard to pull out the relevant information. Sometimes it's written in very esoteric language. So, especially if I'm new, I've never really thought about this. Maybe I'm in my early or mid or late 20s, not really thinking about Social Security yet for myself personally. I know I've heard my parents talk about it. Maybe I've heard some clients talk about it, but it's not really a relevant conversation other than hearing people go, oh, Social Security won't be around by that time. And that's kind of the extent of what I know about Social Security. So I love for you to kind of break down the logic and maybe just a roadmap of how do I attack the Social Security portion of this exam in a way that I'm not spending hours and hours and hours to get very little out of it because
Yeah.
it is a topic that you can dump a lot of time in and get very little out of, and then you're kind of feeling like, I can't believe I just put 10 hours into Social Security, and then there's two questions on the exam.
Right, right.
So how do you roadmap this? I'm new. I don't know anything about Social Security. How should I start thinking about this in general? And then how do I start kind of maybe tiering it the way that, you had mentioned in our previous video on disability insurance, maybe in a similar way?
Yeah. First off, I'd say this, Social Security topic on the CFP exam, although it may not be a major component on the test, right? It is still a decent component of the test that you should, study. But most importantly, Joe, this is something that you could carry on in your actual career in your field and become a rock star in front of your clients. Because
Yeah.
like you said, most advisors, they focus so much on the investment portfolios, this, that, and that, where, Social Security, I don't care if your client has $3 million in net worth or investment portfolios, they still want to collect Social Security. I'm like, hey, if it's extra 4 grand a month or 3 grand a month, why not? You know, so it's just gonna help you be better at what you do. So to answer your question, we'll go back to the tiers that we created last time, right? So we'll create two tiers basically, tier one and tier two, right? So in tier one, the way you want to look at things from a high level overview is knowing the eligibility, the type of programs, and obviously the benefits. So what do I mean by that? When you think about the eligibility as you're studying for Social Security, understand how does a person get qualified for Social Security benefits,
Okay.
right? Like, there is, credits and credits, or how many credits per year, how many number of credits do you need, right? Which leads to the second part, which is the programs, because depending on the credits you earn in some programs, you probably have to have a fully funded program credits to get the accessibility to that, where in some cases you might not need the entire amount.
All right.
Understand the difference between those, right?
Got it.
So what type of Social Security benefits we got? We got the retirement benefits. We got, inside that we got the spousal, then the divorcee benefits, the widower benefits. Then we have the disability, right? Things of that nature. And then we have, like, dependent care. And then there's like that tiny thing that they'll sneak up on you, Joe. Is this kind of like, wait, what? Like the lump sum benefit, And you
Yeah.
kind of look at it like, wait a second, is that really the answer? No, that can't be it. It's kind of
Yeah.
like, yeah, you gotta know that. And they'll love to throw that your way.
I remember when I was studying for it, I remember that everything seemed to mix.
Yeah,
And so, and again, the thing that comes to mind is if I'm thinking about Social Security, I'm exclusively thinking about the retirement benefits of Social Security. And even as planners, when we say Social Security, we're really referencing the retirement benefits. But the CFP brings into, you know, to the forefront is, hey, that's not the only program.
right.
There is a disability program. There is a survivor benefit, even though that's not really significant. It could come up as a question. There are family benefits, there are Medicare benefits, and there are SSI benefits. So, what do you think is the priority in terms of programs? What are the programs that, if you had to nail it down, what would you say are the most important to study?
Yeah.
And then what would you know within there?
Yeah, no, fantastic. So definitely, like you said, the retirement benefits. I mean, that's just a low-hanging fruit. It's gonna be, it's gonna be on the test. It's something that you just need to know. But inside the retirement benefits, you just gotta know, okay, if I collected Social Security, I think this kind of falls under tier two at the same time as well, Joe. But while we're speaking about it, like understanding okay, if the benefits collected at 62 versus, FRA versus pushed out till 70, how does the benefit change?
Hmm.
Right? But not only that, if you collect the benefits before FRA, or but how does the benefits reduce? But how about if the client is working? If they're
Hmm.
working, how much of the income can they collect before the benefits start reducing? What amount the benefits will be reduced? Like, this is the kind of stuff that you got to know,
Yeah. And
and
it's
then
and
from
it's
there,
detail oriented.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely an application based. You got to understand the application component. And then jumping into, if I say disability, disability is something very, I'd say it's important, but it's so easy to understand the disability benefits as long as you understand the definition of disability that the Social Security is offering, the elimination period, and then the amount of benefit. I doubt you have to calculate like how on retirement benefits side of things for disability, but understanding the behavior of how the disability benefit will work for Social Security, along with like as I mentioned earlier, the credits, right? The
Mm,
credits being contributed into it. What gets a little bit tricky for people is the family and the survivor benefits,
yeah.
right? Because I mean, that's something I hated too, so I get it. If you guys hate it, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
But understanding, okay, well, if the husband died, but the wife is this age, but they have a kid who's under 16, but this kid is in school and but he's not a full-time student, like those little things, understand those. Because then you're gonna have to figure out, like, okay, does this person really qualify, or do they qualify for the family benefits in this case? Um,
So do family benefits apply kind of, are they like an overlay where if somebody is collecting one of the core benefits that family members can collect based on their record? Is my understanding that correct?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit challenging because if you think about it, like if Jane Doe passes away and she was 40 years old, she may have not contributed her entire amount into the Social Security system yet, or the credit hours that she needs, and she passes. But then like John Doe, who's the survivor benefit spouse, he's taking care of the children, he is entitled to some sort of benefits. So you don't necessarily have to worry about the calculation of that, what that benefit will be. But what you'd want to know is, does John Doe qualify for any of these benefits?
Hmm.
That's the key element about it, right? Understanding, okay, if this scenario happened, does this surviving spouse get the benefit because they have children that they're taking care of?
So let me ask this question because I think we see a lot of, test providers as well as question banks. They really emphasize the taxation of those benefits.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that a tier one thing, or should I worry about the taxes after I get the eligibility and the benefits down?
Yeah, great question. I'd say, if you understand the eligibility and how the benefit system is work as part of tier one, I believe the taxation of benefits and then the change of benefits, I believe that falls more under the tier two side of things, right? Where it'll say, okay, if John Doe is collecting benefits, but his wife is working and he's not gonna go back to work, what is the taxation of his benefits would look like? Right.
Hmm.
So I'd say that'll fall more under the tier two on the application side, but the knowledge of the taxation, I'd say that you could probably put that under tier one if you really wanted to, because it's something that you need to know. If the taxation question is going to come in,
Yeah.
if you don't know how to calculate the tax, if you don't understand the taxation of it, then you're not going to be able to calculate the taxation of it.
Do you think you should just go out and memorize the different brackets for Social Security taxation? Do you think, because it's not on the formula sheet, do you just memorize it or hope that the application of doing problems is
Yeah,
enough?
I'd say because once again, it's not a huge part of the material, and we don't want to end up spending too much time, like I said, tens of hours on studying for Social Security. I also just focus on the tax table on how Social Security benefits are taxed. And if you're taxed on it, if you're tested on it, if you're tested on it, you know it. If you're not tested on it, you can still apply it in your real life.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, all right, everybody. I think what Raman has done here is really given us a great roadmap where tier one know all of the programs because they're not all one big giant program. There are tier. Well, I don't want to use the word tiers here, but there's different programs that have different benefits at different times. So
Yep.
number one, know what the actual program is and the benefit of it provides, and then who is eligible
Yep.
for those benefits.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely a tier one thing. From there, start to get to know, okay, when does that benefit change? How does that benefit get taxed? And all the little nuanced detail that exists. But I think as a bare minimum, you got to walk into the exam knowing you're tier one
Yep.
really well.
100%. 100%.
So I think that is a really good roadmap to go in and work on that tier one. Be very good at that before you move to the tier two. and start trying to apply it because it will murky the water on your suitability if you really don't know the tier one stuff. I think you can probably be in a good position on the exam if your tier one is solid.
Hmm.
But you can't walk in and kind of half know tier one and half know tier two.
All right, right.
You got to be, if you're going to pick anything, obviously always pick knowing your tier one really, really well. And don't do it in reverse.
Yeah.
Don't try to memorize and do this where I'm going to know all the hard stuff and I'm going to forget about the easy and the medium stuff because it's a very easy thing where if you're a CFP test writer, you want to know that you know the programs and you know who's eligible and what benefits that they can get, as opposed to just knowing, oh, you can tax Social Security in this way, because again, not likely that you'll see more than one or two questions on that on the exam.
And a lot of students sometimes they ask us, they'll say, hey, like, or they'll say, like, hey, I just want to know what I need to know to pass the exam, which is understandable, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you may not apply that you learn on the CFP on in your practice. But Social Security benefits is something that if you're taking care of people's money and you're 55, 60, and their average time is 55, 60 years old, knowing your Social Security benefits is what's going to help you be a differentiator. Right?
I
It's not
agree.
like, well, I'm a fiduciary and I'm a fee only. It's kind of like, hey, I have an expertise in Social Security benefits and I can help you navigate through those and show you what the ROI is going to be and how that benefits help you long term. That is what's going to stand you out in your own practice.
Sure.
Right. So don't just study the Social Security like I gotta pass the exam. Sure, yes, you're not gonna have a lot of questions on it, but if you just learn it properly, this is something that you're gonna carry forward.
Yeah, fantastic advice. All right, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. With any questions, comments, or concerns, reach out to Raman or myself. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can continue to bring you content just like today. And we will see you on our next episode. Take it easy.